Hello, wherever you are. You're tuned to The Leg Up, our domestic thoroughbred weekly preview podcast, and it's Auckland Cup day on a Saturday. Would you believe it? Would you believe it, lads? We're on a Saturday. Fingers crossed. All going well.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah. Get a crowd on course, and away we go.
Yeah, crowd on course. Just
Will there be a crowd?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Jacinda and Ashley have steered us through another crisis. Now, we're not going to get political today, are we? No.
I hope not.
Okay, let's.
It was just great to see Derby Day.
Yeah, thank God it went ahead. Yeah, it was a good day, Steve.
Yeah, fantastic day.
Yeah, they did well in the end. Ellerslie, they did the best they could.
Yeah, and all the owners got on track and made the most of a tricky situation. And listen, you look at the track, it came up a slow 8 midway through the races or through the meeting. I thought it played better than that, maybe a slow 7. I'll be putting in my database. And you look at the profile of the horses that won the races, 10 races developed or finished, 5 of those were won by the favourite. So I think the form franked up even though we were playing on a rain-affected track. And on Treviere, she was fantastic in the King's Plate, very dominant. I think she heads to Oz now for a one-off mission. And the Sunline Vase, Madalenia, rock solid. She was very good, even though the margin was a little bit sticky for punters that took the shorts. But she had to cover extra ground. A track that was just a bit shifty, not for her liking. And I think that will really top her up, or top her off for the 2-4 at Trentham next week. And
Rocket Spade in the Derby, he was a bit of a drifter, wasn't he? What was the situation
we
there?
always knew that during the working week and early doors race day, there was specking that middle market around the frontman. Milford was well supported right from the opening whistle right to the close. But just in the last 10 minutes, it was a decent firm around Montre Moi and Rocket Spade. They went almost back to their opening lines, in particular Rocket Spade. So if you were a bit patient and you saw that drift on Rocket Spade, I think top fluck was $4.60, $4.80 from memory. Got back into around about that $4 price. You got a nice little reward. But look, Craig Grills, he cut the corner, he rode for a little bit of luck and saved a little bit of ground in the inner part of the track, come the middle part of come to the business end of the race, and got the job done. So I think a lot of the top 3 and maybe Tokarangi, who finished in around about that 6th position, will head to Australia, and there'll be decent chances over staying trips.
So Tokarangi out of an Oaks calculation, you would suggest?
I think she's still in.
Okay.
She hasn't been withdrawn officially through NZTR, the Bureau.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the stable are maybe looking into taking her to South Australia, knowing that maybe her best form and figures are left-handed v right-handed, which we know is the Sydney way of going. So not sure where she ends up. But the likes of Rocket Spade, Frontman, even Milford
going.
Yeah, I think they're all going to be a decent chance over 2-4.
Okay. Where were you last week, man? Barely standing, by the way. Thanks for gracing us with your presence, by the way.
Cheers.
Where were you? You were on holiday again.
A well-deserved break.
Well-deserved break. Very good.
Very happy to see the racing take place.
Yeah, exactly.
Tiako would have been very, very happy that Derby Day went ahead. I mean, there was more tangerine at Ellerslie than you'd find in a tropical fruit salad.
Just going on that, there's 36 races that have been held on Boxing Day, New Year's Day, Karaka Million, and Derby Day. Out of those 36 races, 16 have been won by Te Akau. I'm pretty keen to do ROI and just see the return on investment if you back every runner. I know they've had maybe 2 or 3 runners in one race, so there's going to be a little bit of a loss there. But I might work on that and see if I can
show us next week.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring in a man that loves his racing. He'll be pleased to see it back on Saturday. BP, good morning to you. And you back on track on Saturday at Ellerslie?
Yes, we'll be there, and hopefully. We'll have Emily joining us along with Aidan as well on track. So, yeah, it was a strange old Derby Day, but it was at the same time great that we were at the home of the New Zealand Derby out of Ellerslie on quite a strange afternoon, but pleasing to be able to try and bring you as much of the coverage as possible on what ended up being a standalone day on a Sunday. So despite not being on a Saturday, it did mean that we did have that opportunity to really dive straight into the form and give you as much as possible than what we would normally maybe on a Saturday. So that was a little bonus, and where we were presenting from and what have you. It was it was all just a little bit different, and it'll be remembered for a number of different reasons. But it's funny, isn't it? Because the Derby, we spoke a lot about leading up towards the race, just about the calibre of horses and just how the Derby sets up for this year. And then we see the running of the race. First 3 were all very good in Tokarangi, as you mentioned. And now we're putting them into calculations for a Sydney preparation. Now those 3 horses have got their eyes on some on some riches there. So you definitely have to say the way that Rocket Spade won the race, aided by a great ride, Milford finishing strongly, and Frontman, who is a runner. Boy, I think that's going to be a horse that could be the one in Sydney that'll appreciate conditions. It always felt he was one run behind. He's run super, I thought, in the New Zealand Derby, to say that he could be ready to peel off something bigger in Australia. So great day out, and let's bring on Saturday with some people on track. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed indeed. Frontman Derby, top 3 futures, BP. Yes.
It was the immediate futures option I looked at straight after the running of the New Zealand Derby. When I had time, of course, after doing a little bit of work, and I started looking for some futures place markets.
Yeah, okay, no, very good. He's got a lot of respect, the Baker Forsman team. What about a Maidener of the week, mate? Have you found something for us there? They've been popular as always.
Yeah, look, I went to Awapuni in the end, and I really was taken by this horse when watching the coverage on Saturday afternoon, and that is race number 2 from Awapuni by the name of a horse called Raffle, 3 off filly by Pirancanto. As we pick it up here, the horse is in the white cap around third to last, of course, in the Grace colours, and does a super job to be able to still pick itself up and win here, because there is a number of checks down when about to turn for home. Balances up again here with jockey Jonathan Parks. We got a little bit of an insight pre-race from Mike Breslin suggesting that this is a horse that he does rate quite highly and believes that she can run a cheeky race today, or on this day. Boy, very cheeky indeed. Look at her go to the line and savage the line and give you the indication that she is going to be wanting a little bit further than that 1,200 metres that she was presented with there. That was a very good win, and a horse that I was quite keen to mark down as a runner that we need to be making as the maiden of the week. I think I might have texted you boys immediately after that race and suggested I think we might have just found our maiden of the week. So, yep, I think she's one to keep a very close watch on.
Yeah, 100%. That's that family of great. Is that a lottery or something, Steve? Isn't it? This horse, Raffle?
Yeah, I think it's a Carnegie mare from memory.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a bit of staying credentials on the dam side.
Yep.
Pirancanto normally gets it up to around about 1,600. So yeah, look, it's a very progressive horse. Not sure where they go. But there's plenty of races in the autumn for 3-year-old sprinter milers still to come, and look, Wellington Guineas will probably come up a little bit too soon. It's just still learning its ring craft. It can over race a touch, but to do that on the back of a performance in running when it was still learning what to do, and as BP alluded, it got checked at a couple of key stages coming around the bend at Aupuni around that tight bend. So, no, very progressive type.
Okay. More checks than a what? Man barely standing. No, you got anything for us there? More checks. We work on that for us.
Not part of this.
Okay, guys, let's push on. We better get stuck into it because we've only got an hour and we've got some fantastic racing to sink our teeth into at Ellerslie, and we're going to go through the 4 feature races there, starting with race number 6, Steve, which is the Systema for 2-year-olds. Thank God we've got a field.
We do, yeah. It's on Tuesday. There was 4 noms. It's been grown to 8 fields. So we had another 4 late nomming Wednesday morning / accepting. So we've got a decent number in terms of the Group 1. Sort of State heads the market at $1.75, and in front of the stablemate on the bubbles at $3.20. Bonnie Lass, a little bit of action around the third favourite. Open at 12, been shaved into $9.50. Fonzalet at 12. Magneto 12 out to 13. 7.20, 23 into 19, so a little bit of speaking for Danielle Johnson's ride. Bergium at $51 and Vector at $61. So, look, in terms of the 2 stablemates, the Jamie Richards pair, match dollar for dollar, and Bonnie Lass is your little firmer in that third line.
Tricky here, Pots, because we've got the Karaka Million winner here and on the bubbles. Started a heavy favourite against Sort of State last time at Mudda, and Sort of State dead set gave him one. So, we've gone $1.75, Sort of State, $3.20 on the bubbles, and they've completely swapped their mark, really. How do we go?
Yeah, it is. It's a flip from what we saw 2 weeks ago at Mudda when winning the Waikato Stud slipper for Sort of State. But, boy, how he won that race, though, I know historically, and Stephen mentioned this as well 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the Breeders' Day race day, is that particular race for the return of the Karaka Million winner hasn't been a very positive one for them. But of course, we saw the same with Kula Zabeel last year when he was beaten in that race. Yes, it was more of an off track last year. When he was beaten by Need I Say More, and then of course was able to come out and do the business at the Group 1 level. So I don't want to completely just say that On the Bubbles is no chance off what we saw there, but what we did see was a front-running performance where he's just absolutely drilled them, hasn't he, Sort of State? And it's quite funny, after that race, there were a number of very sharp judges from across the Tasman that were able to suggest that maybe they'd just seen the next hour Mace K winning at Maidener with how that horse won. Now, he railed beautifully. He showed really super acceleration. And look, it was no surprise, was it? It was maybe a surprise on how much he was able to beat On the Bubbles by, but with how he won at Te Rapa, Jamie Richards did give the indication then, what was that, around December, that he possibly could be the top seed in the stable of 2-year-olds. So we got a really good true line on that with how he did beat up the Karaka Million winner 2 weeks ago. And going off that, it could be very hard to be able to turn around that 6.5 lengths.
100%. You've gone $1.75, Steve, against On the Bubbles. What was your thinking around the top 2 in the market?
Well, you just got to, look, On the Eye, very impressive, very dominant. If you take the SP away, it was a very dominant performance by Sort of State. And I think that the Times suggests that it was very dominant as well. And there was not too many excuses around On the Bubbles. The first 400 was 1/10 above standard, so Sort of State wasn't going slow in the midsections or leading up to the midsections of the race. The last 600, 3 lengths faster than On the Bubbles was Sort of State. And the last 200 was 2.8 lengths faster. Sort of State v On the Bubbles. So he was very, very strong at the line and through the line On the Bubbles. Sort of State. Look, On the Bubbles, I think there will be natural improvement. There's got to be. There's a little bit of a freshen up on the back of the Karaka Million, as we mentioned, heading towards Maidener. And back at Ellerslie, unbeaten at Ellerslie On the Bubbles, I think that's one tick. Look, Sort of State, it's won 3 from 4. Its one loss has been at Ellerslie. I'm not putting that down as a negative. The race shape and the eclipse was just totally against Sort of State. We've mentioned it a number of times throughout the podcast in the last few weeks around Sort of State. They went up very, very hard early sections, and it just set it up for those horses that sat off speed and worse in midfield. So I don't really want to make that a negative. That his one loss has been at Ellerslie Sort of State. But just in terms of figures and On the Eye, they very much mirror that Sort of State as the horse to beat, even though On the Bubbles is back at Ellerslie and is the Karaka Million winner.
Yeah, I would expect some natural improvement. But as you say, what do you think, man, barely standing here? What are your feelings?
It's very, very hard to see Sort of State getting overturned here. Of course, when he did win the Waikato Studded Slipper on the very same day, the fillies were running around in the breeders, and we've got Bonnie Lass and Fonsalette, who I think ran first and second there, and their sectionals were inferior to Sort of State. Yep. So, yeah, there'd have to be quite a significant turn in form for any of this lot to overturn Sort of State. Just that $1.75 doesn't look the worst for mine. And if you want to sort of boost it or make it a wee bit more interesting, then maybe you could play into the fixed odds exotic markets.
Oh yeah, well we can touch on those in a little while. Maybe there is an exactor here, BP or a Quinella with these fixed odds exotics that are coming to us on Saturday.
Yes, well, I've just gone digging into that actually, and the fixed exacta on this race, if you were looking to take Sort of State and On the Bubbles, is $3.60. That's enticing. Mawati, would you agree?
Oh, very, very enticing. You've almost convinced me there, BP. I think I might have a sly fiver in my pocket that I could put down.
You better dig one out, wouldn't you?
You got deep pockets.
Yeah. At least when it comes to shouting at the bar, then you struggle.
The pot and the kettle.
Yeah, so well, that $12 On the Eye where we opened Bonnie Lass, Steve, I guess that probably looked quite a decent price for a lot of people because there's quite a gap between the colts and the fillies here. But as Man Barely Standing points out, probably deserved on what we've seen.
Yeah, look, overall times don't tell the full picture. 10 lengths slower than, well, if you go on the overall times between the slipper and the breeders, 10 lengths slower was the breeders v the slipper around Bonnie Lass's win v Sort of State. But it doesn't tell quite the whole picture because if you look at the first 400, Baldara went out very, very hard. Now, by this time of the day, it was quite obvious that there was a bias happening at Maidener to be on that rail, try and find that position, and it was playing advantageous. So Baldara tried to hold that position on the rail. Mozzarella was really causing some drama on the outer, and they were really pressuring each other. So that first 400, if you compare it to Sort of State's first 400, in the earlier race that went out 5 lengths faster, which is a decent margin. So they went out very hard. So, look, when you're right, it's a balancing act. When you go hard in a race early doors, it's very hard to sustain that overall time. And for example, you had the likes of Bonnie Lass, who did a great job because it was just off the hot tempo in fourth to finish over the top. And Fonzalette obviously was the eye catcher, but it was set up, as I mentioned, by that hard tempo up front in the first 400 to 600 metres. So, yeah, look, they're not, when they go up that hard and well above standard, they're not going to run overall time at a flash knot because you've got horses that have just taxed so much in running to find themselves a little bit soft in the last 400-600. So, yeah, I thought Bonnie Lass was pretty good considering she was just off that hot tempo, managed to finish over the top of them. But the overall time just might be slightly misleading.
Is there anything to take on Sort of State in the lead here? Or what? Because, I mean, if he can just amble to the front, it'll be awfully hard to run him down.
No, I think he gets that position in the map. I think he leads. Magneto, I think might second outer from barrier 7 come across. Bonnie Lass, again, she just missed the start fractionally, and because of that early pressure, she was found just off the speed, where on debut she led. I think they'll just take a sit on Bonnie Lass from the 1. They'll try and take that trail position in behind Sort of State, and you might find on the bubbles 1-1 in position. So, I don't think there's a tricky position in terms of working out the map. 2-year-olds can be a little bit tricky because you're just working with little data, but I think Sort of State just profiles as the leader here.
Is there anything else pops here? I thought Magneto was good at New Plymouth. We don't know where the bottom of that horse is as yet, but anything else we need to mention here?
Yeah, I think there's worthy consideration to talk about Magneto, first of all, who won that stakes race, beating home Quattro Quinta, of course, and they were horses that clashed the start prior at stakes level. There was a lot to like about how he won on that occasion, so I think he's deserved of respect. I think the blowout horse in the race is 720, number 8. Now, I had her part of my numbers in the Karaka Million. Now, and that was purely off the back of a big run on Boxing Day when beaten in behind Palamos and finishing into second position. I'm prepared to give her a sneaky chance for that third and fourth bracket. I find it hard to try and place her in my numbers, but I want her in amongst exotic bet types because she's the one that's going to make it. Danielle Johnson takes the ride. Of course, we have OTI Racing now in the ownership of this runner. I just think there's something about her. She's a horse that's got a bit of ability there. Things didn't quite pan out for the horse in the Karaka Million, been freshened since. They've decided to roll the dice. Of course, she was actually already one of the original 4 horses that was nominated for this race on Tuesday. It wasn't sort of a late decision to put the horse into the race as it is for some of the other runners in the race. So she might be that one that can make your trifectas just a touch more juicy if you're looking for something to spice it up.
Well, we always are. Is it 720, Steve? Or Paul, you might remember as well. Was that the horse that was quite well backed in that middle market in the Karaka Million? Didn't it get?
Yeah, absolutely.
It got backed in. It was quite a horrible result for us that day, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a touch soft very late in the piece, but it opened that middle teens, got as short as $9-10 for memory and went back out. But no, it's one that a lot of punters are very keen on, 720, and has been a little bit of a move early doors, 21 to 19.
Yeah, okay, little tickle for it. I see it's a losing result at this stage. Give us a top 3 or 4 man barely standing here in the Sistema.
Sort of State.
Yep.
On the bubbles. Bonnie Lass. And then BP's convinced me 720 lobs in there too.
Okay, you're going to chuck it in before. Happy with that fixed exacta? 360?
I am, yeah.
Why not? Sounds all right, doesn't it? BP, top 4 or top 3 or whatever you want to give us in this year's Sistema.
Well, if you wanted to take the fixed trifecta there, Moati, it's $11 on a 216 straight trifecta there. If you wanted to lock that in right now on numbers 2, 1 and 6, Sort of State on the bubbles, Bonnie Lass. Look, they're the 3 I'm around, and then it's all about trying to work out how you add in Magneto. Fonzalette. Look, Fonzalette was huge in that race, coming from back in the field to finish into second position behind Bonnie Lass. So she was one of those extra runners added into the mixture. So, yeah, I'll take the same numbers as Moati. I'll go Sort of State on the bubbles, take the 360 exacta, and we'll add in Bonnie Lass and 720.
That's easy. It's easy. But they look just a class above, Steve, don't they? To be fair, just maybe these top 2.
Yeah, they do. Yep, and figures suggest that.
Yep.
And Sort of State, who knows, if it put an impressive performance here and was quite dominant.
Yeah.
With that prize money, it might almost qualify for a slipper. And I know Jamie Richards and Tiakau, they'd love to have a slipper runner, whether it's this year or going forward, but that's what they buy at the sales. they've had a tendency to buy these 2-year-olds that have a little bit of speed and pedigree behind them. So maybe Sort of State could be that horse that goes over to Australia and contests the slipper. But we'll just see what happens and what develops out of Saturday.
Yeah, I was just having a look at that slipper market because I wasn't sure myself. I had heard a whisper that was maybe a plan, not currently nommed. So is that right? Or am I right there? Pop's not nommed for a slipper as yet?
Look, I know the horse. Has been in calculations for the race.
Oh, no, sorry. I've told her 50 to 1. 50 to 1 Pops.
There you go.
Stop the presses. I just can't read. That was the problem there.
You had me worried there for a minute because I was thinking, I'm sure I've seen it there, but there we go.
Yeah, I've seen it in order of entry in terms of prize money. I think last time I checked it was around 40th.
Yeah,
That was after the weekend, but if I managed to take out this race, that would help its cause.
Okay, 50 to 1. 50 to 1, there we go. Sorry for putting a scare through the team there. Race number 7 at Ellerslie. Guys, we want to move to, and this is the Bone Crusher New Zealand Stakes Group 1. And again, dominated by 2 pretty talented Tiakau runners, and this time they're mares.
Yeah, intriguing. Avantage Melody Bell, 2,000 metres weight for age. And Avantage, $2 out of clip to $2.10. Melody Bell, the best bat run in the first 24 hours. Open 2.9, now trading $2.50. We're all performing that third line at $6.50 off a shortener of 6. Concert Hall, $10. Tiptronic, 26. Bowden, 26 out to 31. On the Rocks, 31 out to 41. Paisley Park stepping up to weight for age for the very first time, 41 out to 61. But clearly the best bat runner early doors is number 6, Melody Bell. She chases her number 13 in terms of Group 1s.
Yeah, she couldn't get it last time. It was a $1.30 favourite there in the Herbie Dyke. But, BP, that early money would be interesting you to somewhat, I would suggest, around Melody Bell.
Yes, well, I mean, it's not very often that we see Melody Bell starting as the second favourite, and you've only got to go back not too far into the memory bank to find the day that she was a horse that was, not at the top of the market, and that was in the middle day of the Hawke's Bay Spring Carnival when winning the Windsor Park Plate, and Avantage, of course, was the favourite option on that occasion. So, can we see a turn of the tables here? Well, look, it's very possible because the horse has come back in the right way. They've decided it's basically just binned what happened at Te Rapa with her below par performance and not getting the favours that she needed up against a horse in Avantage that has just kept on winning this season and comes into the race with a very similar record as to last year when the horse was able to win the Bone Crusher Stakes. But $2.90 to $2.50. I think a lot of Melody Bell fans looked at that $2.90 and were very keen to get amongst it.
Yeah, 100%, Steve. Old man Billy Standing as well. I mean, $2.90, Melody Bell.
They've got
Steve
us.
Put up.
They've got us.
You waving the white flag already?
It's all done.
Yeah.
They've got us.
Fair
dinkum.
13.
Well done, punters.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, Steve, I mean, you framed this market and along with some of your team members, and look, you settled $2.90 Melody Bell already. There were $2.50, Avantage $2 out to $2.10. But you were all in relatively strong agreement with your opening line.
Yeah, we were. We were very much on par. Rated Avantage around that 40-45% chance, and Melody Bell, from memory, was around that 28-32%. Look, on recent history, you'd have to say Melody Bell probably does have the stronger figures at 2,000 metres. That is probably her sweet spot. Right now as an older mare, Melody Bell. Look, we're not totally dropping her, and at $2.90, I don't think we're dropping her at all. Horses have off days. That's what she had at Te Rapa. You've got to go deeper into the form and what she's produced in the last 12 months over 2,000 metres. You don't have to go back too far to show that she had the better hand of Avantage at Hawke's Bay over the Carnival. She won the Livermore just under 3 lengths, beating Avantage off a very short SP. But I think Avantage, she's in a better position, a better spot than what she was in the spring. She comes into this race winning, 4 Group 1s over 12, 14 and 1,600 metres. She is the defending champ in this race. And again, she just maps in a gorgeous position. I think she can be in the first 3 or 4 here. Melody Bell, she might position midfield on the outer, but I don't see too much pressure up front. Tiptronic, the natural leader, I think will come across from barrier 7. Bowden might take that trailing position, but outside those two, there's not that much pressure. And we saw this race last year. It was very much a walkathon and a sprint home, which will favour the best sprinter miler in this race, which is Avantage.
Okay, so you were comfortable with what you were comfortable with what you opened at for those reasons, I guess. The map, the form, what we saw of the last few races?
Look, if they're asked to run, say, somewhere 33 and change for the last 600, and Avantage is in front of Melody Bell, she won't get beaten. It's simple as that. It's just mathematics. I can't see any horse running below 33 for the last 600 to beat Avantage. So we've seen a lot of these weight for age 2,000 metre races run at a moderate tempo until we get to that 600 metre point just before the home turn at HQ. And with little pressure up front, it could be a very similar position in terms of the map and the way the race is run. So, look, 210, 250. I know there's a massive support around Melody Bell. She's wanting to break that record I might have mentioned. She's chasing a 14th Group 1. Is that right, BP?
Is it 14 or 13?
13.
Isn't it 13? It's 13.
13? Okay, yeah. Okay, well, regardless, she's looking to break the record
There's
on
been
Saturday.
so many of them.
as you get lost.
She'll be chasing 14 after this weekend.
You're not a great man for mathematics or any of that sort of stuff Steve's talking about, are you, man, Paul? You just take that out, throw that out the window and go with the punters.
Well, there's one punter out there, a good friend, Chippy Harrop, who has rated Avantage New Zealand's most consistent horse on New Zealand tracks over the last 30 years, and it's hard to argue with that.
Okay.
She
You're
has
giving
been
us some hope.
super consistent. Look, I guess if she was a cricketer, she'd be an all-rounder who would bat like Devon Conway and bowl like Shane Bond.
I don't want to say she's an interesting horse, Avantage, Pops, isn't she? Because she's such a pro. She never takes your breath away, and that's probably why we were sort of thinking maybe Levante to sweep down the outside in the sprint, the BCD sprint, and she just gets in the right spot. She's such a pro. She puts them away so effortlessly that she almost sneaks up on you in a way, doesn't she?
She does, and it's funny because she really doesn't quite get the kudos that she deserves, and that, look, it's remarkable, isn't it, to even say that, and it's not saying that she doesn't, and the one thing that she hasn't been rewarded with, for instance, was maybe last year at the Horse of the Year Awards, and that was just how things unfolded. But let's say a horse like Te Akau Shark, like Te Akau Shark is a horse that has been on everybody's lips for the last 2.5 seasons. But not Avantage. She just goes about her business and wins Group 1 races. Yet Te Akau Shark was that horse that had that outstanding withering burst and a horse that people wanted to go to the races and see. He was just that type of horse. It was his name, it was the people associated with the horse. Where she just rocks up and she just does the business. She's no show pony. She is a horse that just rocks up and gets the job done. And I think that's what you've got to really put into account with Avantage, and she's going to be awfully hard to beat in this race with what Stephen has spoken about. Look, it's interesting around Troy Harris aboard Melody Bell. He has a very good record aboard the horse also. Opie Bosson, as we know, we've seen him ride many Group 1s aboard Melody Bell, and he's also ridden Avantage. So they've gone that particular way with Troy aboard Melody Bell and Avantage. I think we sit down to see a terrific finish between these two horses. But if it is run pedestrian, it's going to be very much in favour of Avantage to be able to do the double and just carry on what has been a terrific winning season. But you don't want to deny one of our best mares that we've ever produced as well at the same time in Melody Bell, because tactically, I'm sure Troy won't be left with his pants down also. I'm sure that he'll want to move and put his horse into the race at the right time so he can give her the opportunity of picking up another Group 1.
Can the old spoiler from last time feature in Royal Performer or a Concert Hall? Is there anything else that can get into this race, Pops?
I think we need to mention Royal Performer because he is potentially forgotten once again. Look, he was a runner that did get the right run, didn't he, in the Herbie Dyke, with everything that happened in the race with Melody Bell and the way the race was run. He just tracked the right horse, didn't he? And he was able to get the gaps at the right time while Melody Bell wasn't getting any favours at all, and she ran below par at the same time, where hugs the rail, gets the job done with a top ride and a gun run in the race. Did Royal Performer. Things are a little bit different this time round, isn't it? With the horse drawn awkwardly in barrier number 8. How do they want to ride the horse? Potentially is not going to get that right sort of run as they got on the weekend, but at the same stage, he is in a very good vein of form as Royal Performer. I've marked him as my third pick in the race. I sort of feel it's between him and also Concert Hall that are the other two horses that can play a part in this race in terms of maybe beating the two Te Akau runners, because they're both proven. They're both Group 1 winners. Concert Hall winning the Zabeel Classic at this distance, at this venue, is another horse that maybe has to be considered for those that want to step away from the two favoured runners. So I sort of see them as the ones in behind that can fill the trifectas and first fours and still need massive respect. Again, though, with their running style, they don't want it to be a race where it was run like last year, because it'll be very hard for them to be able to get anywhere near the leaders in terms of winning the race if it is a doddle up front.
Yeah, 100%. And Concert Hall will fall into that bracket, Steve. I mean, you didn't mind the mare in the race, Concert Hall. Obviously, she's a bit map related, or is she relying on the map to some degree?
Yeah, just didn't want to drop her. I was very negative against her at Maidener and the Lisa Chittick Plate. Just not the right race shape. 1400, dropping back from what happened at the Naki, the way the track was playing. There was a lot against her that day. So I was happy to lay her last start at Maidener. 2,000 metres. I believe out of the connections, out of the stable, that they're very happy with Concert Hall. She's really come on from that performance at Maidener. She was running some okay sectionals late too, even though she was well beaten into midfield. But again, she's at a nice sweet spot here at Ellerslie, 2,000 metres at weight for age. But as you mentioned, Thaddeus, she needs some variables to go away, and one of them is being the tempo in the race.
Okay, I'm not even going to ask for a top three here. Guys, I'm going to ask you, Paul, one question: Avantage or Melody Bell?
Avantage.
You're going with Avantage
I'll go with
after all that?
Jeez,
Well,
not bad.
You sprayed Steve's price,
You did.
and you've gone the other way at the death.
Well, it's moved.
It has moved. They haven't missed the 290, have they?
No, what? So Tiptronic's going to come across from out wide and either take the rail, or Opie's going to push up on Avantage and hold the rail, or be one outside Tiptronic.
Yeah.
Is that how it's going to go?
I think Avantage won't. I don't think Opie will want to find the rail. I think he'll want to find that position outside Tiptronic, and Bowden might get the trail, and then he can really control the race sitting out of.
Well, if that happens and he does control the race,
If Opie starts controlling a race, you know you're in trouble, aren't you?
indeed.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
unless you're on Opie.
True, which most of our customers generally are. BP, Melody Bell, or Avantage in the the Bone Crusher.
Yeah, look, I've changed my mind a number of times around this race. I'll go with Avantage, and I'll take the $2.20 fixed Quinella with Melody Bell.
Yeah, okay. Fixed Quinella. What are we getting fixed Quinella here? 220.
220. 220.
Okay, nice little way to save, if nothing else. Okay, team. They're going with Avantage. Look, customers are with Melody Bell. I know we'd love to. Maybe there's a bit of hard overhead here. Who knows? But
Intriguing to see where that finishes
that's exactly
up on race
right.
day.
That is true.
Avantage has been very firm in all her 4 runs this preparation. She's been a winning result in a lot of those races.
Yeah.
Because she's been well found early doors in the market. But it'll be intriguing to see what happens and what develops in the last 10, 15 minutes of that race.
Yeah, that's true. How that market will shape up where it closes will be intriguing. Guys, race number 8 on the card. The Laser Plumbing to Pukey 1400 Open Handicap, Steve. And this is a nice betting race.
Fantastic betting race, headed by Packing Rockstar, $4.20. In front of Hypnos, the class galloper at 4.6. P Arena, the mare at $7. Germanicus resumes at $8. Gino Severini has to carry the top weight, albeit gets a 2 kg weight relief at 8.5. Offer Pika 10, so a little bit of a firmer around number 1. Remington $9. Double figures round Just a Cancer at 10. Carolino 15. Rocket Fuel, La Mia Stella, the stablemate, 16 each of 2. Summer Monsoon 19. It's Destiny's Child, best of the rest at 23. No strong lead. The only firmer or market mover is number 1, Gino Severini, 10 into 8.5.
Okay, nice little move early for the toppy in the race. Look, a nice open handicap, Pops, which means we've got a wide open betting market.
Haven't we? I mean, this is a race and a half, isn't it? There's a lot of different angles to take around this race. You've got horses that are dropping back from Group 1 races. You've got a horse like Hypnos, who's won a Copeland's this season. You've got Germanicus, who I thought was very good in that trial out of Counties a couple of weeks ago. Sits with a nice barrier draw at around $8. It's Destiny's Child again, dropping back from that better racing, Packing Rockstar, who was most recently placed in behind Just a Canter, of course, at this venue. Pierina was a very good trialist, who was at that sort of dangerous price at around $7 or $9 in the market. Also, I found it a bit of a nightmare, really, to try and nail down. I mean, Gino Severini is a horse that I have liked for some time. He gets Masa Hasazumi aboard and gets back to 60 kilos. He gets to a venue that he operates well at and a distance that he does like. I think that's maybe a key for him, being a chance at that $8.50 mark. If Just a Canter gets a jockey, I'll be interested to see what he does, because he blew it on the weekend and he was still enormous. He was brilliant in the Entrivier race last week. Was that horse? Really did like what I saw from that runner. I don't know. I just found this race an absolute nightmare to try and work out, to be honest with you fellas.
It's like that, isn't it?
Number of different angles to take.
Oh, 100%. This is your sort of race, though, Paul. Now, this is where this is the sort of race we've got you in the podcast for, to sort these races out.
So I'll go with the fave then. No, I don't mind the look of Hypnos.
Yes. The Copeland's mile winner.
Yeah, and Storm Dome last time out over 1,200 metres, had the fastest last 600 metre sectionals. The extra furlong will do very, very well. Really like the look, and Mr. Darby himself, Vinnie Colgan on board. So, yeah, I do like the look of Hypnos at 460.
Yeah, okay. Can't knock you there. Very talented horse. Gee, hard market to frame up, Steve. I mean, a few angles.
Yeah, it was quite tricky. I think there's a bit of reshuffling to do between now and race close. With Hypnos, I'm almost ready to take a set on him here, even though I didn't mind him in terms of probability. Barrier 12 with 62 kegs. I think he's ready to peak third up in a couple of weeks' time in the Japan Trophy at Tauranga at set weights and penalties. So might be a one run too early. Paul Mawadi, I'm just warning you.
No, good.
But again, it's one of these races where he does have the class edge, but he will have to carry the top weight of 62 with Gino Severini having that 2 kg claim. But I think if you're looking on the map in terms of a safe bet, you've got Gino Severini packing Rockstar, who are going to sit in the first half dozen running. Then you've got Justicanta, who's also in betting. Hypnos in betting. Pierina are also in betting. They're going to be probably in the back third. So they're going to rely on tempo, a little bit of luck and running come the business end of the straight. So maybe purely on the map, we might see a bit more traction around the likes of Gino Severini and packing Rockstar, who obviously heads the market at $4.20. And as we've already mentioned, Gino Severini in 1.5 points, 10 into 8.5. So Germanicus is the intriguing runner. Just didn't come up in the spring. Trial was very good, just sitting off tempo and beating a nice tidy field at the trials a couple of weeks back. Germanicus, we know his quality, we know his class.
Has one fresh up over 1,200 metres before.
Germanicus?
So, yeah.
Good trial, wasn't it?
It was a good
trial.
Very, very good trial.
Yeah. Beat Bavella. Bavella's franked that form last Sunday at Ellerslie, and the Kings played him behind Entrivier. So, just watch where that marker ends up around Germanicus. He might be a little bit soft because he presents first up, and those horses normally profile a little bit soft in the market in the last 10 minutes of trading, but we know his quality, and he's probably one of these horses that sits in the map neutrally, where the likes of Justicanta, Hypnos, Pierina, they can be low percentage plays at the best of times.
I want to talk about the favourite, Steve, packing Rockstar. Are we starting to suggest it might be scared of the winning post, or it's hard to get involved for me at that price around him?
Well, that probably makes the race as difficult as it is and what we're touching on, because the favourite just hasn't won this preparation. He's had a few SPs that have been fairly short, and punters have been expected to take that price, and he hasn't done the job quite as yet. So, but again, he does map very well to sit in the first 5 or 6, packing Rockstar. As I mentioned, a lot of his rivals will be back in the field, and they'll have to give him a few lengths come the business end. But again, it's a bit of a trust with that horse, because as you mentioned, he hasn't won this preparation. What's he had? About 6-8 starts. So
he's a handful.
Yeah, he does. He plays up a bit.
He does a wee bit.
Yeah. Maybe it's my burnt pockets, BP, around packing Rockstar. FYI, viewers, I won't be on. So now's the time.
Get on. Get on
exactly.
then. Look, we all have those horses, don't we? Where we start wondering, when is it time to get off, or do we keep going a little bit further? I think he has to be a huge chance in this race, though. I think there's a lot in his favour to say that he is a top 3 chance in the event. I like Gino. I'm sort of siding with him. He's been a good friend of mine, but it's also been a case of just trying to pick your battles with Gino. And look, with him this season, that they've been very keen to tackle those weight for age races and push him out to a little bit further, as they saw at the back end of last season, where they tackled a Herbie Dyke, and he did a good job in that race to finish into 4th position. So coming back to a venue that he operates well at, and at this distance, I was happy to have something on him at the bigger price. One other runner I wouldn't mind throwing into the mix here is It's Destiny's Child. Is she just that sort of horse that is finding the right race for her, just coming back a tad from what she's competed against? We have seen her, for instance, 12 months ago, show that she was just below those sort of, top 4 or 5 sprinters, but she was still, highly competitive with what she was able to peel off, for instance, like races like the Concord. Just see her sitting at $23. She'll be on my quaddie ticket. We want to find some blowouts for the quaddie. This is a race where it could blow to pieces, and its Destiny's Child might be that one.
I just saw the big 0 there, Pops, but that was wait for age last time, was it? That was a different ball game, wasn't it?
Yeah, Avantage. Look, we just spoke about Avantage running the favourite in the Bone Crusher Stakes. And look, this is a horse who's run into on Trivier, beaten in the Railway as well, and was only 2 lengths off them behind Avantage in the Railway. It's a race that I'm sure punters will go searching for some big odds runners, and she'll be one of them that I'm happy to maybe have a little nibble on.
Okay. No Tiaka runner here. No, yes, there is.
Remington.
Hang on. Remington, Summer Monsoon as well. Oh, no. Okay. We wouldn't want to be leaving them out of anything, would you? What about a top 4, Pops, for the 1400 Open Handicap?
Yeah, I'll go Gino Severini as my top selection in the race. Just a canter. I mean, he's in my numbers, but as I said, I'm not sure who's riding him yet, but he was very good with his effort in the King's Plate after missing the kick, and he's just been one of those horses raced well this season. So, as I said, if he's running, he's in my numbers. Packing rocks up because where he can map, it's Destiny's Child is my blowout in the race.
Oh, I started to like that blowout, Bobby Vance. Paul, what have you conjured for us?
I'll stay with Hypnos.
Yeah, okay, good man.
Yeah, I think Marshy might be trying to slip one past the keeper here with Pierina. So
as he tends to do.
Indeed. So definitely in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Danielle Johnson gets that 2 kg mere allowance as well, so she's in the conditions of the race, she's well suited. And if she produces the same figures she performed in the Breeders back in November, she's a top 3 definite.
Yeah, okay. Anything else, Paul?
Packing Rockstar.
Oh, yeah. No, he maps. This is his chance, isn't it? He'll come out and win it, won't he?
Yeah, now that you're off.
Yeah, I've flipped off finally. So you've got a chance. So no further thoughts, Steve, here? We've covered it all, haven't we?
No, not really. I think we've covered it all. It's a very open race, which his Open Handicap should be.
Yeah, exactly right. Make for a fun betting experience, that's for sure. Right, let's get to the big one. Race number 9 on the card is I'm going to get this right, Barfoot and Thompson Auckland Cup Group 1 over 3,200 metres. Steve, and a relatively warm favourite here.
Sound, who's been a dominant favourite since the Avondale Cup a few weeks back. He has drawn a sticky gate in barrier 15. Troy Harris does the riding for the Moroni Gerard Galloper. 340, just out of turn to 3.5. In front of Platinum Invader, 480 out of turn to $5. Star Czar, 7, got a short of 6, just back out to 7. Ocean Billy, 11 into 10. Lincoln King, solid 10. Robusto also solid, the Avondale Cup winner at $10. In a Twinkling, out a couple of turns, 14 to 16 with just a maze. Vito Rosso, we took a $500 bet at 26 to get its price into 19. And Swords drawn 21 out to 26, best of the rest. Daytona Red a late nom during the week at 31. So no clear lead. It's 4 or 5 they're willing to play with a little bit of a firm around number 13 and Vito Rosso.
Yeah, okay, interesting. He's a little bit underrated, Vito Rosso, but as you'd expect, BP, plenty to have a little spec out in that middle market if you can get away from the top couple.
Yeah, there is, isn't there? And the Avondale Cup form is going to be a key reference to this race with what we saw in that particular race, 3 weeks ago with Robusto winning. Robusto's been a very busy horse tackling 3,200 metre races this season, if you go right back to the New Zealand Cup, of course, and also competed in the Wellington Cup and did a grand job to be able to win the Avondale Cup last time to the races. There was so many good runs in that race, though. I thought the favourite Sound was a horse that will appreciate coming back to these conditions, of course, dropping a couple of kilos under the set weights conditions to back to 57 kilograms. I thought his run was spot on, really, to say that he's ready to run a 3,200 metre race in the Auckland Cup like he did last year, of course, when running into second position behind last year's winner in Roger That. And look, he's a horse who's, as we keep coming back to, he is a stayer with, look, he's got world-class credentials next to his name. He is a runner that's competed across the world, and he's competed in 2 Melbourne Cups, has Sound. I think he's quite an obvious favourite, and yes, his draw is sticky, but he is the one that they all have to beat. Platinum Invader, I did like the run from Platinum Invader in the Avondale Cup. That was the one that immediately went down into into the book to suggest that he's not too far away from getting it right once again. He did run third in last year's Cup, did Platinum Invader, and then after that, boy, you can make a case for a number of horses. I thought runs from Star Czar in the Avondale Cup, even Ocean Billy. Look, that horse ran a bit of a cheeky race, I thought, behind Robusto in the Avondale Cup. Lincoln King was another horse that I was able to take notes on, suggesting that getting to 3,200 metres would be better for him. So away from those top couple of favourites, there is an opportunity for punters to steer away from favourites and find a bit of value.
Yeah, 100%. How do you think this market's going to shake out, Steve? Looks pretty solid, I suppose, with that futures market that we've had open for quite some time. That sort of
100%.
helps you, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. You get that guidance from the futures market, which has been open for at least a couple of bumps, and sound $3.50. It is a sticky gate, but I'm sure they'll look to find a neutral position in the first few furlongs, but then they'll look to take a mid-race move, which they did in the Avondale Cup. I don't think they'll want to stick around in the back half of the field. He's got that class edge, and as BP has already mentioned, well suited at set weights and penalties sound. So, look, I think he'll hover around that $3.50, $4 mark. Platinum Invader solid in that second line of $5. Look, Ocean Billy, as BP mentioned, big improver, 70 days freshened into the Avondale Cup. Senior jockey aboard here. With Jonathan Parks doing the riding. Look, he will be well found in the market. He already has been a little bit of a firmer, 11 to 10 Ocean Billy. A little bit of a question mark slightly over the 3,200 metres, but from barrier 7, Jonathan should be giving this galloper an economical run. I'm fairly keen on Lincoln King personally.
Yep.
Again, I mentioned this a few weeks ago around the Stephen Marsh team. A lot of his horses presented on Avondale Cup Day, probably around about 80-85% ready to go. We saw the improvement from Milford, from the Avondale Guineas into the Derby, just about taking out the Group 1 event last Sunday. I think Lincoln King from barrier 3, Danielle's got plenty more options than what she had presented on Avondale Cup Day when she was drawn a wide gate. So Lincoln King, we know his credentials over 2 miles. He ran second in New Zealand Cup, and he had the better of Robusto that day. Robusto finished in behind Lincoln King. So I think that's the big improver. I think he'll be really screwed down for the Group 1 assignment, Lincoln King, and should get a gorgeous run from barrier 3. But tricky race to totally map up. I think in a twinkling probably defaults the leader, BP, from barrier 16. What's your feelings around In a Twinkling? Because again, he was a little bit in terms of his negative performance last start in the Avondale Cup. We know he can be hit and miss at the best of times, but apparently his work leading into this race during the week has been spot on for a horse that has a slight question mark at 2 miles.
Yeah, it's fair to say, isn't it? Around him, he's had a busy season. He's been very good this season, hasn't he? At the same time, he's been Group 1 placed in a race like the Zabeel Classic. In a twinkling. Look, he's going to be put in the race, he's got the right man aboard, so he's going to be one of those runners, a little bit like Perfect Scenario. Like Perfect Scenario started gaining a little bit of support after what happened, in the early part of the day, you would say. It was around TRK runners doing the business and Opie Boston kicking him a few winners. He might be that sort of horse that starts moving in the market for those particular reasons. TRK horse at $14 with Opie on, I want to have something on. So he'll give you a sight, though, at the same time, won't he? Because he's a runner that will push forward. Look, Justin Mays is another horse that falls into the category of how do they look to ride this horse? Because in the last few starts, we've seen this horse getting back and working home. I was really taken by how this horse ran in the Wellington Cup to finish into 3rd position behind Wasaki. Again, rattling home down the outside. He was pretty good doing exactly that, and he got back last time out in the Avondale Cup and was only 2 lengths away from them. So maybe they've found a new niche to him with Justin Mays, been able to see out that 3,200 metres that way. I think there is a number of horses here that can fill a place. Vito Rosso, as we've seen in the market, it has taken a little bit of market support, wasn't the worst in the Avondale Cup and was beaten in the Nathan's Memorial, where it just looked like the horse was going to go up and win that race, and Just a Boy Bullseye found a way to just keep on giving down the straight and win it at $45, and we see Just a Boy Bullseye lining up and taking his place on the weekend. In fact, the first 3 horses out of the Nathans, including Loch Winnock, will be running on the weekend. And even you've got the horse who just about caused one of the biggest boilovers that we've seen for quite some time, and Bluey's Chance in the race. Now, that you'd imagine the way that they rode the horse on that occasion, that he's going to be put into the race also with his barrier draw of 5, Bluey's Chance, who went round at $130 and made Wasaki chase all the way down the straight. in the Wellington Cup. So you'd imagine that horse and In a Twinkling are going to be those forward runners.
Don't remind me of that Wellington Cup. Saki and Bluey's chance. Go, Bluey. I couldn't do it. Everyone's multi-cash.
Yeah, it was about a 300k swing.
Yeah.
Well
Paul.
done. Yeah, well done, punters.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to win sometime, don't you, Paul? Yeah.
100%, yep.
How do you see it, mate?
I really like the look of the favourite here, Sound.
Yep.
As BP mentioned, under the set weight conditions, meets pretty much all of his main contenders. A whole lot better off than he did in the Avondale Cup, and that was a great run for second there. Has won over 2 miles back in Germany. Looking to go one better than last year.
You're all over your German form, are you? How do you go with that? How do you go with that?
Yeah, love the Bundesliga. Yeah.
And let's talk about Sound. Presented first up in New Zealand in the Avondale Cup. Very soft and bedded.
Yes,
Very
quiet,
soft.
wasn't he?
And still ran gallant in second position. So with that, you would say that they are just a little bit soft in the horse in terms of fitness levels. And it still did the job in there, or just about did the job in the Avondale Cup. So with that improvement, which it has to be in terms of what we saw in the marketplace, $3.50, it's going to be very, very firm.
Screws, a bit more screws tightening around Sound, you would have thought, off the betting we saw in the Avondale Cup. Anything longer odds, Paul, behind Sound? Or
I was going to throw Charles Road in there.
Gee, you're a real sentimentalist, you are.
Look, found trouble last time out. Lost a plate in the City of Auckland Cup. Was really
sneaky at Maidener, wasn't he?
Finishing off very, very nicely in the Herbie Dyke.
Yep. And the same at Maidener again with a big weight.
As placed over the 2 miles before, so
Derby winning trainers.
Yeah, well, they'll have some champagne left over, surely.
Down to 55.
Hey?
Okay, Charles Road. Well, could he spring an upset? Yeah, okay, don't mind it.
Could be another boomer of a party at the O'Sullivans.
Back to Backham.
Indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Stars are, Steve. I just wanted you to touch on that horse because I know he's 5, but I'm calling him the up-and-comer perhaps in the race, and he was good last time.
Yeah, he's worse off in the weights v Sound. He goes up 2.5, where Sound drops 2 kilograms, so there's 4.5k swing. I'm not sure he can turn the tables on Sound from what I saw in the Avondale Cup. He was right in the middle of preparation, on the back of a win on New Year's Day, Stars are. So, yeah, look, I don't want to rule out the Baker Forsman runners over a staying trip, but just in terms of the weights and measures, he's got his work cut out to turn the tables on Sound.
Okay, and Lincoln King by Shocking. How does She Can Fly?
Yep.
You know that family.
Yeah, she won a Summer Cup. She can fly. She was a good staying mare, and being by Shocking, there'll be no dramas, which we've already seen, running second New Zealand Cup, getting 2 miles.
Yeah, okay. Pops, top 4, please, in an Auckland Cup this year.
Yeah, I'm with Sound. I think he's a horse that just tracks into it nicely with what he did in the Avondale Cup. There were a number of good runs in that race, so using that Avondale Cup form around horses like Platinum Invader. I think Platinum Invader is a horse who can run a race on the weekend also, so I've marked that as my second selection in the race. I do like Lincoln King. I made that my third pick in the race, narrowly beaten, of course, by Dragon Storm in the New Zealand Cup. 3,200 shouldn't be an issue off the back of a nice run a couple of weeks ago. And after that, look, there is a lot of horses you could throw into the mix. Ocean Billy, Just Amaze. I'll stick with Stars, though, just purely on, like you said, that he is the up-and-comer. He isn't that well placed under the conditions of the race, but I still think he might be a horse that can run a big race. And we've sort of been waiting for him to get up over further distances. We've seen that this season, and he has excelled after winning the Dunstan Feeds final. He then came out and ran third in the Avondale Cup, so he can run a big race. I've marked him as my 4th pick in the race. So we'll go 2, 4, 9 and 8.
Okay, Steve doesn't mind Lincoln King either. Man barely standing. You're with Sound.
And it sounds like BP and I have the exacta worked out.
Oh, not again.
Sound on top.
Pops will be on the old website just tapping away as we speak. Sound and who? Platinum
I can hear
Invader.
the keyboard as we speak. And Platinum Invader in for second. Lisa Ladder's got cherry ripe, ready to go.
Yep.
I just think Sound just a wee bit more class at this stage. So
I'm with you. I think he'll be hard to beat.
Charles Road slotting in there somewhere for a
Okay,
place. I'm hoping.
He's got the class. If the old boy can recapture it, there's no doubt about
Little
that.
whisper Sound was the track star on Tuesday at Maidener.
Okay. Oh, gee. Yeah, okay. Your sources. You've got a few of them too. Murray, yeah, okay.
Need them around this.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you got to.
That Northern Mail tends to get lost when it heads to Petone, but not on this occasion.
Doesn't make it here too often. Hey, BP, did you ever think you'd have to make a decision about who to back between Prix de Fer and Levante in race 1 there at Ellerslie?
Well, I mean, the thing is around Levante and what we've seen last time to the races, and it wasn't a horse that. Let's talk about Levante and the issue that we have with her, and is that she is a horse that is now black marked as missing the start, and it's going to be a big mark against her name, isn't it, in her career? So, as much as we were looking forward to that clash with her and Avantage, and it didn't eventuate in the sprint race, it's just going to be something that's going to be in the back of your mind every time now, isn't it? Even though we might see her jumping better in the next couple of starts, you're sort of just waiting and hoping that it doesn't happen again. But it will always be in the back of your mind now with what happened in the BCD Group Sprint with her defeat behind Avantage and giving such a big start. She's gone to the trial, she's got herself back up and running. So what's her price in the first race, Levante?
$1.30, Steve. You're giving away nothing there.
Gee, that's a
Sauvignon
bit
Blanc,
skinny.
$3.60.
What did I say? Prix de Fer, Sauvignon Blanc, I meant.
Sauvignon
Sorry,
Blanc. Look, some
Makes
people
these
might be
Sarkia
watching and
runners up.
listening to this thinking to knock some sense into me, but I reckon Sauvignon Blanc can beat Levante on Saturday. I really do. I think she presents in this race. She's defending champ. She's got an identical profile in terms of a lead-up race heading into this race when she won this race 12 months ago, beating Media Sensation, which was a Group 1 winner in a mile. I think 1600 fresh is a nice profile for this horse on the back of winning the City of Auckland Cup on the 1st of Jan. She'll be in front of Levante. I wouldn't be surprised if she's a knockout blow. Saying that, $3.60, it's never a surprise in terms of a price. But when you're dealing with a $1.30 shot, I wouldn't be surprised if Sauvignon Blanc gives Levante a decent shape.
Okay, that will be interesting in race number 1 on the day. We better to get to our best bets, boys, because I can see Phil's starting to wave his arms feverishly. Only a few minutes to go. Would you believe we have a director on the show? There's actually a director here.
He's quite animated too.
Yeah, he doesn't mind having a word, does he? Yeah. Anyway, best bet time, Paul. We'll start with you. You had the week off, so you didn't do any damage last week.
Yeah, thankfully.
Back to square, though. You had a good winner at Maidener.
So let's keep it going.
Okay, please.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll go Ellerslie and the Auckland Cup, and I really, really do like the look of the favourite, Sound.
Okay.
Proven over the 2 miles. Looked really, really good last time out.
Plus 0 ROI.
I think the
you get the green
Moroni
colour
Gerard
too.
stable are going to take all the chocolates home.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you. I think Sound's going to be awfully hard to beat in Auckland Cup as well. Stephen, your best bet, please.
Yeah, I'll go race 3 at Ellerslie. The rating 74 stayers. Tia Dior, I just loved what she put in last start, albeit in lower grade company. She led on that occasion. She was quite dominant. She stretched away from that field, and the second horse was Frontman, which we know form has been franked, running a placing in last weekend's derby. So, look, I think if you ask the stables, this is one of their more progressive types in terms of a staying horse. Tia Dior by Tavistock, the Dam. It's all got beautiful bloodlines around the Dam side. So I think this horse in Barrier 3 can sit in a similar profile lead and be hard to catch.
2 Moroni Gerard runners. Are you going to make it 3 pops for a best bet? You're our star performer. We'll leave you to last because you're well into the green, mate.
Well, I'll stick with the same region, and that being out of Maidener. I really do like this horse in the last race of the day, and if you can wait to the last race, or if you want to try and centre your bets around maybe your quaddies or any other multis, I do like Force of Will, a horse that is a 3-race winner, taking on some horses that haven't even won a race in a maiden as-at race. She does come off the back of her Desert Gold victory last time to the races, and the prospect of maybe seeing her in Australia too, coming up off the back of this. So I think she looks very nicely placed in this race over 1,600 metres. Force of Will is my best bet of the day.
Oh, gee, I'm with you there. Now, see that. I don't think Steve would have missed it, but you'll be looking forward to Saturday, BP. Can't wait.
Yeah, massive day. 3 Group 1s on a racing program, and look, it finishes what has been, I know it's not the end of the racing season out of Ellerslie, but it certainly puts a bit of a point on it with what we've got to come off the back of this, races like the Championship Stakes and the Easter Handicap and those type of races. But certainly to the Group 1 racing that we've seen out of Ellerslie, it's been a brilliant summer, and what better way to be able to cap it off with our race meeting on the weekend, and fingers crossed, we said at the top of the show, with some people on track to enjoy it also.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen. We've got to go. Would you believe? We've
Yep.
got to hurry it up. Good to see you back, man. Barely standing.
All done. Yep.
Yeah, all done. We'll be back in 7 days' time. Thanks for joining us again. Enjoy your Auckland Cup day. We'll see you then on the leg up.